morning, everybody. Welcome to my world with Nat, Relocation Concierge. Like, we've had 8 conversations already, and we haven't been recording. So now we're going to record. My special guest today is Tyrie Blue. He's a resident, or you've been living in the Dominican Republic for...
Going on 5 years.
5 years.
Yes.
And he has touched on so many subjects already that I'm like, let's get this going. So the first thing you were just saying was about when you decided to come here, you committed by just bringing suitcases.
Right. We sold everything in America. Like, I literally had, for a whole year, the year before prepping, I sold everything.
Yeah.
My house,
A year?
car.
We did it in 3 months.
Well,
Come
I mean,
on!
I did it, periodically,
Yes, okay.
throughout the whole, but the last thing I sold was my bed. And when I sold my bed...
And it's just to show that you can do it over time, like short or long,
Right.
It doesn't matter, just as
Right.
long as you commit to do it.
No, you commit to do it. Once you start doing it, then it's almost like you're going to do it. But if you don't never start, or never start, you're not going to never do it. I literally started selling stuff online. Started selling my stuff.
I was selling stuff under my husband's nose, and he didn't know what was happening.
Right. No, my wife knew, because I made sure, because my wife's an accountant, so
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that she accounted for everything, all that kind of stuff like that,
Cool.
and made sure that everything was sold. So.
Which leads to our next topic, and this is a question that I'm getting a lot from people, is, Natalie, should I buy, should I rent, when either before I arrive or when, upon arrival? And earlier this week I had a conversation with a couple who were debating this. I have my perspective. What's your take on it? If you're going to decide to relocate, especially if it's a long term, like you're deciding to really make a go of this, what do you suggest?
My suggestion is to rent off top. I mean, I just rent because you want to feel where you live at. I mean, where you stand at, because the island has so much more to offer. Like, I done been to so many different places. I'm like, oh, I want to rent there. Oh, I should have stayed there. So rent to find out if you want to stay here. But Sosua, for me, is like the best central location for everything. Like, I bought land here and everything like that. So it took me 2 years before I bought land, because I just wanted to make sure that this was the area, the good school for my daughter. If you have a child, that's the most important thing for me, to make sure that they had a different school. And Sosua had 3 schools when I got here.
Right.
Garden Kids, International School, Sosua, and Isla.
Yeah,
so I visited all 3 of those. So that was my main focus of staying here. But Las Terrenas is beautiful.
Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. I feel like it's more vacation-y though. Like,
It's
we
more
went for a
retirement,
weekend,
right.
and I felt like we were on like holiday.
Right, it's a smaller.
Everybody was very posh where we were staying.
Right. We had a good time.
It was fancy.
I done been to Las Terrenas about 4 or 5 times. I mean, so that's our vacation spot. The Harbor Core, the stands, and all that. So you have to really rent for a couple years. I would say a couple years, because even if you, in the first year, you say, oh, I want to buy, you'd be like, you got to just wait, because the seasons change and opportunities change in reference to like where you want to stay at. You probably can't get the first choice that time, but wait a while, that it might come back on the market.
And I think that the idea of renting allows you to uncover what the country has to offer. Right. And it also allows you to figure out what works for you. And that's one thing that's really important, is that there's no mold here. It's not like there's one size fits all. It's you do you. You got to do what works for you. And that's what I tell clients. If you want to come here and rent, and like we rented beachfront, that was our non-negotiable. We thought, if we're going to come down here and uproot our life, we want to be by the beach. And we did it. And we loved it, and we enjoyed it. It had pros, it had cons. Right. Because there's a lot of salt and a lot of sand. And it ended up we had a cleaning lady twice a week, because we just could not keep up with the maintenance. Right. But I don't miss being by the beach. She is loud. That ocean, she's loud. Right. And people don't think about that.
Right. We live like right now, where we live at now, we live approximately a mile from the beach. Yeah. Right. At nighttime, we sit on our porch every night. We can still hear the ocean, right, from that, and we live a mile away from it.
Oh wow. Okay.
From Puerto Marina. So that kind of stuff, you have to take into consideration how loud the ocean is, or how loud the community is.
And people would laugh at me, really, Natalie? It's loud. This is what you're complaining about, but when there's absolutely no moment of silence, you know, because silence is nice too.
Right.
So those days that the ocean was quieter, I'd thank her. I'd be thank you.
Right.
Thank you for being
And
quiet
it's not
today.
that many because sometimes, you know, depends on the weather.
And then communities are different everywhere. And one of the things that comes up as well is this idea of electricity. I was just sharing earlier that, you know, our villa where we are now is that the electrical panel is not built like the one in North America. That there's one breaker, and when something jumps, everything jumps.
Right.
And you have to know the trick.
Of course.
The trick, you got to, which we didn't know. We found out when we had to call the I guess the on-call electrician, that you had got to flick the thing up and down a few times,
right.
and then it'll stick.
Yeah, reset. Yeah.
It'll reset. Yeah.
I mean, that's little things you're gonna learn regardless of being up, and that's the beauty of it. Now, if you're not a maintenance person or something like that, you will become one by the time you leave here, and it's a good thing because now I know how many kilowatts it takes to, you know, before my bill becomes double. I know all these things by just trial and error, right? So I mean, I think that's the best part of living up here is that our whole life I knew what I was doing every day in America. Everything was, you know the next day would come, you got to go to work or whatever.
It was automatic,
like that. Here, every day was new here. Like, even for me and my wife, it's been new. Me and my wife and my daughter has been new. Like, trial and error and everything like that. But it's a lot less. I mean, it's stressful, but it's not the stress that I felt when I was in America, right? Because it's like that stress.
The race, it's not a race.
Right, and you don't realize you're in a race until you're out of it, right? And then you're sitting here and you're like, and everybody you call home or you talk to somebody, they're like, oh, I gotta go to work, I'm doing this, and I'm like, oh, and they say, what you doing? I was like, I'm watching this squirrel in our backyard, and they're like,
there are no squirrels here. Hold on, pick something else.
Right, so there's like those type of things like that. That's what I take in reference to
the quality of life.
The quality of life is a lot better here.
It just changes, absolutely. Right. And so you guys have been here 5 years. You built your home?
No, I bought land.
You bought land.
2 years ago, right before COVID, I bought some land, and I'm gonna start building my home on that land. And it's actually literally in the same area that I'm renting a home from. So it's like I could walk to my land.
Ooh, we're gonna have to come visit.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's nice. I mean, it's a typical Dominican community, but I'd rather live in the community than out on the outskirts. It seems like I feel more connected to the community, and they know me. It's almost like everybody know everybody. I can walk into the tomato at the front of the store, and I can get credit I don't need it, but as so far as that's somebody, you walk into a store and they say, I forgot my wallet. They say, oh, we know you are. Just get what you want and come
really?
And
they still do that?
Exactly, right? They used to do that when I was young.
My parents used to have that at the little corner store where we used to live in the country.
So that's why I say it gives me those memories, right? When you was a kid.
Oh, wow.
We still have a person that comes around. He has a truck. Dominican has a truck, and he has everything on his truck. I'm talking about like chairs, tables. He has TVs. He has
shoes.
Everything on this truck, and it's filled up to the rim, right? And he comes every week.
Did they fall off the back of the truck?
No. This is their culture.
This is business.
Right. So he comes down there, and anything you want off the truck, he'll give it to you. It's like rent to own. Like, you don't have to pay. Like, the Dominicans, they can't afford certain things all the time.
Oh.
So he comes around. If they need a table, he gives them the table, write their name down, take whatever they give him.
Yeah.
And that's, and they pay as he go. Every week he'll come around and whatever they give him, a little bit like that. So it's like a rent to own thing, but it's amazing because that's how it used to be.
That is entrepreneurial, and it's nice to hear too, because I don't think people should go without especially if it's something that they need.
Right, but yeah, that's the community I live in. Like, it's like I can see cows across the street. I can see pigs across the street, and I see how the farmers work, how they bring the cows out the pasture. Like they say, we work until the cows come home. Yeah. The cows actually come home by me. You know what I mean? And you see, like, oh, this is amazing. You see how a farm works and all that.
There's something organic about it, just and natural. Absolutely. Right. So you guys have been here 5 years. Mm-hmm. How did your daughter adjust to coming here? Because she obviously would have been. Well, hold on, let's think. Well, actually, she would have been my daughter's age.
She was in 2nd grade.
Yeah.
When she got here.
Yeah.
That's the best part about living here is that to see how my daughter adjusted, and because I feel like I was in the schools. I worked in the school system, not as a teacher, but as an administrator.
Yeah.
My wife was the accountant for a charter school.
Yeah.
So we both worked in the system, and I see kids go, to class and all that. It's almost like a competition down there in America in reference to the kids. The kids, before they even walk through the door,
Yeah.
they are in competition, and they don't even know it. So here, when my daughter got here, I felt like going to Isla and seeing the trees and the cats and the chickens and all that running around, and the ocean right there, and the kids are independently learning and stuff like that. I'm like, this is weird. This is how I want it to be.
Yeah.
But it was when I first visited Isla, it was almost like they set it up for me. And they didn't even know I was coming. Like I literally just walked into class school and started talking to Sean. I didn't set an appointment or nothing like that. I literally walked in, I'm walking to school. I'm like, these kids are.
Is this for real?
Right. I'm like,
Yeah.
these kids. This is before I even met Sean.
Yeah, yeah.
I had talked to them. I had talked to somebody at the front. I don't know who I talked to. They told me, hold on, he'll come.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll talk to you. And I can just walk around the school. I'm walking around the school. I'm like, these kids are. They don't feel like the kids in America. Like
they aren't.
And they don't act like, I mean, don't get me wrong. You still get the bits and pieces of kids that come in, but the overall feel of the vibe of the school
Is what you were looking for.
Is what I was looking for my daughter.
And she's adjusted well.
Well, she's learned Spanish, and I ain't have to pay for it like I would have to pay for it. I would have had to force it down her throat in America.
Here she's just doing it. Yeah, and I think the idea too is, and for parents, is you have to come and visit the schools, meet the teachers, meet the directors of the school, and find a fit. It's like the whole idea of renting a bike.
Right.
You have to find a school that fits best for you and your family, because Isla works for us. Mm-hmm. Other parents, it's other schools, and that's okay.
Right.
But just find what works for you. So that was a plus for you guys, learning the Spanish at school.
Right.
What are some of the other tips that you can offer people who are are deciding that they want something different for their families? They want to relocate. Right. What are some of the highlights for you or tips that you could share with them?
The thing about it, like most people who have kids, right? The first thing they think about is how their kids will adjust to it, right?
Yeah.
And my fear was that I was gonna get out here and my kid was like, oh, where the mall at? Where the film? right, and stuff like that. And I did it, and I thought about it, and I think the kids adjust as much as the parents allow them to adjust and make them adjust, right? Because I still get the things that I want out from a. I just don't go to the mall and get it. Right? I order it from Amazon. It takes a week or two, but I get it. It comes. I have to pay a little more money, but it comes, right?
And you get what you want.
I get what I want, right? But it also gives you the opportunity to give your children something that no other child where I come from has ever experienced. My daughter. Her main thing is, hey Dad, I want a horse. Most kids in America are not asking for a horse, right? They're asking for like an iPad or things like that.
She wants a horse?
She wants a horse because that's what she wants. She's jumping, she's doing horseback riding, and for me, that's more than anything that I could afford over in America to give her, because I couldn't. The time that I give her.
Yeah, the time and there are things here that for kids that are better priced.
Not only that, it's just the kids in general. Like, I don't have to pay for my child to go on the beach and meet her friends up with her friends and they have
There's no all-inclusive.
You
don't have to.
And it's like, because our Friday, like, I don't know if you've never been to our Front Loop on Friday, but on Fridays,
it's a great place
we go sit over there on Friday. We have a live concert with whoever's there to perform. My daughter meets up with all her friends from school. I mean, she has so many friends here than in America. Like, second grade. Yeah, she didn't have that many friends. I literally, I never met one of my daughter's friends from school until I met her.
And here them
Here
all.
She has all of them. In fact, we travel to this little country with most of her friends, and it's amazing for me because I couldn't. I'm gonna say afford it. I have the time.
The time, but that's part of the
time is what we need. I think if anybody gets time. They said, this is what I quote. I don't know who said it, but they told me, if you give a person time, they could figure anything out, right? So we don't, as a North American people. I mean, you're Canadian, I'm American, same thing, same coin. But I found that once I started having time, I started figuring out things, and that's what brought me to Dominican Republic, because I figured out I could live over here for a third of the price I was paying over there in America monthly.
But okay, and in saying that though, that also means that
What?
you are, well, because you're saying I can live here at a third of a price. I think that only applies if you choose, right?
That's what I'm saying, and that's what a lot of people they come over here. The expectations is they're gonna come over here. Yeah, I can get a bigger house, for the same price I'm paying over in America. Like if I'm paying $1,000 in America for an apartment, yes, you can get $1,000 house over here, but you're gonna have $1,000 bills too. You're gonna have those American bills over here, or you can come over here, chill out, look around, and say, oh, that's a $500 house, right? 2 bedrooms, not on the beach.
No.
You know, all the bills included, like I did, and then figure out how everything is. But things like this, my brother came over here. My brother's retired, and he came over here. The first thing in his mind, 2 years before he came over here, he was like, I can't afford it. He said, I have too much over here that I'm paying for to get over there. Because I said, well, let it go. He said, I'm not letting that go. I just bought a car. I just bought a house. You know, I'm like, yeah. I say, but that's why we get, that's the thing we get trapped in. That's the mentality that traps us.
Yes.
We have too much to let go over here.
Too much stuff.
We don't work so hard for this big old house. We don't work so hard for these cars. We don't work so hard for, but
there's a simplicity here. So you have to let go of, I want to say habits, because, you know, if you are used to doing your Starbucks run every day in North America,
this coffee is way better than Starbucks.
This coffee is way better than Starbucks.
Coffee. It's regular coffee.
It is very good coffee, and you're buying the organic pastries and every day. You're still living in that mindset, in that North American mindset. If you're still wanting, I mean, listen, I said we went from a penthouse to a 3-bedroom villa, and now we're going a 2-bedroom condo.
Right.
And you said to me, "Oh, is that what you wanted?" And I said, "Well, the price fits our budget. There's only 3 of us.
Right.
We don't need that much space.
Right.
It has a pool. It has access. It ticked off all the boxes of the wants and the needs that we had, which one of them was being close to friends, because we have a young daughter. So you have to figure out, and that's, you know, I have a handy dandy checklist for clients who, you know, want to figure out, what do I need and what do I want in a rental, because sometimes what they think they need is not what they actually need.
Right, because I got a lot of friends that have super nice houses. I mean, I talk about $1 million houses, Seahorse Ranch. You know,
it's a nice place.
Right. So they live in nice houses, but they still have the same bugs I have. They still have the same problems with their electricity. They still got to call somebody out to fix their pool or whatever like that. The same problems. It depends on what you feel is what you need. Like on the first property I bought, I rented. I had 3 different kinds of 3 avocado trees, 3
and they're not avocados,
2 mango trees, cherry tree. I had coconut trees. I had 3. I didn't know they had that many kind of coconuts. I had all that and banana trees on the property I landed. So at every given time of the year, I
had fresh.
I always had fresh fruit, and I had a gardener, right? I had a gardener that worked 3 times a day on the property. I had never had to do no maintenance. Yeah. He worked. He was not just a gardener. He fixed everything, you know, things like that. Yeah. But I also learned the maintenance stuff. I learned where the well was, where the system was, where the lights are, where the breaker was, what. You know how long the pool is on the pump before I turn it off, or it automatically goes off. I can adjust that. I learned so much about home ownership here by just renting a nice place, right? Yeah. I know that I want solar power, right?
Yeah, I mean, the solar power has to be the plus, and that's something that we're seriously looking into. Is that we know the value of that. So that is something you can do here. I mean, it's sunny. I mean, it's been cloudy the last couple of days here, but I mean, that's kind of a reprieve for us, and when the sun comes back, you're like, oh, yes, she's back. So we've covered so much this morning. Thank you so much for coming to sit with me today. Your insight, and I feel like we could keep talking forever. Yeah. But if you do have questions for us, please drop them in the comments. We'll be more than happy to answer them. If you are thinking of relocating, this is something that you're toying with, you want to go on the adventure, it is an adventure.
It's the best.
The best adventure. And when you do it with your family and you're giving these experiences to your children, I think it's the biggest gift that we can give them as parents. book a call with me. Click in the link in the description and you will be able to chat with me and find out how we can make this happen for you. Find out where you are in the process and what's missing to get you there. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime.
Whatever you choose to do today, have an incredible day, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.